Man, we may not make this flight. So here's the situation. For the last 6 months, we had planned to take a flight from United States to Japan on space available. But now that this blue screen of death, this crowd strike thing has happened, everyone whose flights are getting canceled are trying to fill those available seats. And since we're the category 6, the absolute last category, we don't get a seat until everyone else does. So our fingers are crossed, we're hoping to get a seat. Let's go see how this thing works. What have we done? If this thing doesn't work, it's gonna cost us a lot of money.
Hello! We are super excited because today starts our trip to Japan. So we are here in Salt Lake City, we fly to Seattle, and then the adventure starts because we're gonna try to Space A all the way to Japan. But before we tell you our plans, we're gonna check in, get through security, and we'll go from there.
Steven and Elaine from the future here.
Spoiler alert, we are not in Japan. Right now we are actually sitting in Incheon, South Korea.
Things didn't quite go as planned. You know what? Let's start from the beginning. So first we finished our 2-month house sit in SLC. We sat for a corgi and a huge Great Dane.
He was adorable. We had sat for Andy before, but this year was our first time meeting George, and we had so much fun. We loved it.
It got really hot down there with the heat domes in the Salt Lake City desert area.
I think it was like 101 to 103 on some of the hottest days.
It was a great time.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
I'm so wet.
So after 2 months of house sitting with these absolutely adorable pups, we headed to the Salt Lake City airport to fly back to Seattle. While waiting for our flight, we enjoyed some delicious treats from the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory before heading to our gate to board our flight. Little did we know this was going to be the easiest part of the next 3 days of our crazy travel.
So we Airbnb out our home when we're not there, which gives us some supplemental income so we can travel.
5:30 a.m., Steven wakes me up to tell me that our house has been booked.
We were super excited yesterday. This morning, however, we had a huge change of plans.
Because of the blue screen thing, the people renting our house needed to stay.
All this stuff with the computers, the blue screen of death has caused problems.
Which sort of left us homeless in Seattle.
We now have to go somewhere.
We decided that we needed to head up to Camano Island. We got on the link, which takes us from SeaTac up to downtown Seattle, Kings Cross Station.
So we're here at the Union Station. We're gonna take an Amtrak up to my parents' house at Camano Island.
So at 5:30 a.m. when Steven said that the people needed to stay in our house because of the blue screen of death, we looked at the space available seats. There were only a handful, so we thought we probably won't make it on anyway. We're category 6. There are only 6 categories, so we're at the bottom of the list, and we thought we might as well head north.
There's only a couple of seats on Space A. We'll explain that to you in a little bit. Just gonna forego that and try on Thursday.
Got there, we noticed that the Space A had opened up more seats because so many military members were delayed that they just chartered a whole new plane.
So this is probably a good time to explain what Space A is. So regular flights from Seattle to Japan can cost from $500 to $1,500 or more just for back of the plane economy seats. Whereas Space A is free.
Depending on your association with the military, you can use Space A to get from country to country. I'm currently retired, and this is my spouse, so we got to go on Space A at the last category.
We're super grateful for this privilege. It's something that Steven earned with his 21 years in the military, and we're very grateful that this opportunity is available to us.
And we decided to come back down and take our chances with the flight that was leaving out the next morning, which meant that we had to repack all of our stuff, get back on the train we had just taken earlier that day.
So within 12 hours of leaving SeaTac and going up to Camano, we got back on a train and did it all again in reverse.
Back on the train, headed the opposite direction. 8:39 p.m.
We got back down about 11 p.m. We went over to register at about midnight, went back to our friend's house. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
This is our first attempt to come over here and catch the first Space 8 flight out this morning.
It's 4 a.m. So we were running on almost no sleep. We were pretty exhausted. We're headed for roll call.
Let's see what adventure awaits for us.
Wish us luck.
So here's what's happening. We got one of those yellow slips now. Says we should get on the flight, but we don't have our ticket yet. Elaine's currently at the counter talking with the guy. We don't know where we're headed. We know we're headed to Asia somewhere, but there's 3 different places in Asia that we could possibly go. At least we get out of Seattle, and at least we get over to Asia, and then we'll figure it out from there. Wish us luck. I think we got a space available seat. This is a big thing, because without this seat, it would cost us a lot of money to buy a last minute ticket to fly all the way across the Pacific Ocean. But I think it worked. All right, guys, we got our tickets. We are headed out, leaving Seattle, headed to Korea. So you'll notice on the ticket, there was a charge for the flight of $44, $22 a person. That's for pillows and blankets and meals that is on the flight. Atlas Air taking us to Korea for $44.
So we knew we may not be sitting next to each other because space available literally means any holes in the seats, like any space is where they put you. Not only did we get to sit next to each other, it was 2, 3, 2, but a few rows back from us where we were sitting was an empty 2-seater row. So quickly, Steven got up, went over and snagged it, and we each ended up with our own row of 2 seats. We like to call this poor man's business class.
It was an absolutely great time.
Something's wrong with the paperwork, so we're just sitting and waiting for them to fix it.
There was breakfast as soon as we reached cruising altitude.
It was surprisingly good. Part of each meal was the same for everybody. We all got like a yogurt, a muffin, and like a little cup of fruit. But then we got to pick between eggs and potatoes or French toast.
After that, we slept for a few hours. We had been traveling like maniacs up until that point, and it was very nice to have the extra leg room.
And I was able to put my feet up on the seats because I'm short. So it was like I had not a live flat bed, but like a day bed, which is super nice. Then right before we landed, we had our dinner.
Amazing food.
So they offered us lasagna or chicken cordon bleu, and then they both came with a 4-bean salad, vegetables, a dessert roll, cheese, and crackers.
Love it.
Preparation for landing, please turn off and stow.
Finally, 9.5 hours later, we landed in Yokota Air Base, Japan.
We were some of the last people off the plane because we were at the very back, and we barely made it into the building. There was thunder and lightning cracking as we were walking inside. And 20 seconds later, we turned around and it was pouring. We have a little bit of a clip, but we really can't record much, especially on a military base. They're not fans of that. It was a huge storm. It lasted, 30 minutes? Then it was over.
It was a great 2-hour layover. And just like that, we're back in the air, headed for Korea.
Why Korea, you ask? Because we said we were going to Japan. So we actually, as tourists, only have 180 days a year that we can be in Japan. And the gal that we're house sitting for had her time extended. She's gonna be away on a ship while we are there, staying in her house with her adorable corgi. And so we couldn't risk the additional 10 days in Japan, subtracting from that 180. So we went here to Korea for 10 days so that we could keep as much of that 180 180 days as possible.
Plus, it's a little easier on the pocket for budget travelers. We just have to be honest about that.
Yeah, it is cheaper. The Airbnbs here are cheaper. Plus, flying into the military base and using the military shuttles, all of that was free. So it was a huge help.
So after landing, things got a little bit hairy trying to find our way from Ulsan Air Base down south to Camp Humphreys, the largest military installation outside of the United States. The largest American military installation outside of the United States.
We had looked up online that there was a free shuttle, so it was really cool because we were able to get closer to our Airbnb totally free. Once we got to Camp Humphreys, we were able to get a taxi from the BX that took us straight to our Airbnb. It was a little bit crazy in the taxi because our Airbnb host translated all the words into English. So the city, for example, is Pyeongtaek, spelled this way. However, in Korean, it's written like this. And our taxi driver doesn't read English letters. So we had to message her. I didn't have any data. I used Steven's phone as a tether thing. And it was a little bit stressful there for a few minutes, but we were able to get it in Korean and he took us right to our building. So that was fantastic. We're so grateful to have such an inexpensive way to travel all the way to Japan. So after 3 flights, 4 trams, 2 trains, 1 shuttle, 1 taxi, and 67 hours of traveling, we arrived in Pyeongtaek, South Korea. Annyeonghaseyo! We have officially made it to Korea.
We looked up and reserved a very nice Airbnb.
It had so many amenities. It was super cute, very well organized, tiny as things are in Asia, but really well organized and laid out. We're gonna show you that in our next video where we tour the Airbnb.
We're very fortunate to be able to see the world this way. If you're eligible to fly Space A, we suggest that you do it. If you have questions about your eligibility, put them in the comments, we'll answer them for you. All right, now you're all caught up. Thanks again for watching. For everyone that's new around here, I'm Steven.
And I'm Elaine.
Here from Incheon, South Korea. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Annyeonghaseyo.